around me, all your friends. You're talking about being acquainted with grief. You're talking about folks not wanting to be around you when you stand up and you inside and you standing up to the system. And all of a sudden, I got a strength when I thought about that woman and how she stood up to the system. And I said, well, then I'm standing up to it. And they were just completely flabbergasted the fact that I would turn down an offer like that because I wanted them to admit that there was a problem. I was not going to sell it away and just take a settlement and say there's no problem. And they fought me for another 10 years, but to God be the glory. When that jury said that verdict, that jury said in that U.S. District Court right here in Washington, D.C., and read that verdict and said, we find in the case of Matthew Fogg $4 million, and we further find that the whole environment is a hostile environment for the folks like himself. Said, we find that in this case. And as everybody went running and the news went running to talk about it, that's when all of a sudden, but that's not, let me tell you something, when the tears rolled down my face, it wasn't even about the money. I could have cared less about the money. But what got me was when the tears rolled down my face is when they said, because of your standing up to this institution, we find that the whole institution does have a problem.
Yeah, right, they do.
And so when I tell people, and what we're standing here today, we're trying to get folks to understand, this is not just by chance that we're standing up here. We're standing up here because we've gathered here because we know that God has told us to come forward and stand up for the young people's rights, for children's rights, and stand up for the parents that are trying to take care of their children. Because you can easily, as one witness up here said, how he was targeted when he tried to take up for his children. Oh, it's a lot of ways that we can come after you. It's a lot of ways we can rock your world. And I've seen just about everything when you talk about working in this institution for as long as I've been in here. But I know one thing is this: truth pressed down will forever rise to the surface. And we should always stand up. So when we're talking about here now and when we gather here today, my story is a story that really is about triumph over evil, about justice, standing up against the Goliath. When you're talking about going against Goliath, because that's what everybody told me. They said, look, the Justice Department is too big, Fogg. It's too many resources. There's nowhere in the world you can win. But somewhere I heard a voice saying, oh yeah, you go forward and you go on your faith. And you know what? And I had gotten to the point, I said, look, even if I perish, I'm still going to see the King. And one of the things that I realized, that even in that process, let me know if I'm going too long, even in that process, when you're going and you decide to make a decision like that, you have to know inside who you are. Because like I said, at that point, you're going to find out who your friends are. You're going to know that. I tell you, I got to a point, even on a stakeout, you got to picture this. I'm on a stakeout. I'm the inspector in charge. And these guys decided they were going to leave and just leave me out there. That's real. That's a real story. And the guy who we was taking off was heavily armed. But to God be the glory, because he had a fence around him. And I tell people this: you gotta have faith. You gotta believe, and you gotta have faith, and you gotta believe in something higher than you. When you go into this institution and you trying to change and make change in this institution, there has to be something higher than you. So when I took a chance and I did it, well, I'm standing here today. That's an example to tell you that, no, I didn't get hurt. But when I went back and said, now you charged those guys with insubordination for leaving the command and doing what they did. You know what they told me? They said, Fogg, just let bygones be bygones. You caught the fugitive, you did a great job, just let bygones be bygones. But I didn't stop. And what we're saying here today to everyone that's listening, we're saying you can make a difference. You can make a difference if you stand up for what is right. It might cost you your life. We got too many people dying over in Iraq and countries around the world who are fighting for us, who are fighting for freedom, as we say, and these people are dying, giving up their life. I'm saying, why can't we do it right here at home? Stand up for what is right. This is what you were called for to do. So when we get a place, I'm just amazed that we got this place here, because really to get here in front of the Capitol like this is awesome. This is awesome. So to be able to speak truth to power, and power to truth, as they say, to stand here in front of the Capitol, you couldn't ask for a better place. And I believe that somebody's hearing our voice. I believe that somebody knows you're here, and someone knows and understands the fact that this is something that has to be addressed. So as I get ready to say to you today, and I get ready to close out, I just want you to understand that there is a way in life that each one of us is called to do something in life. When I decided one time, and I said, and I never get it, because as a young man, as I said, as I was growing up and seeing the institution and seeing how it worked, I had ambitions to go to be maybe even the president of the United States and do things. I had all of these ambitions. But I realized sometimes your life is led on a track that if you stay on that track, you will make a difference. And when I look back and I think about the tears that was rolling down my mother's eyes, I couldn't understand it then when she said to me, son, there are laws in the books that are ungodly and they're not right. But she could not look at me straight and tell me, you cannot go in that boys club because of your race. She couldn't tell me that. But she was trying to tell me, you cannot go in that boys club. And when she looked at me, and I couldn't understand, why is she crying about this issue? What is so big about it? I can't go in the boys club, they won't let me in. And then she just turned, and when she looked at me and said, trust me, she said, maybe one day you'll make a difference. And those words rang in my ears. And when I got on that marshal service and I began to see the things happening, all of a sudden that started coming back to me. When I was taking those fugitives and those people to prison, and on those prison details of taking people to various prisons around the country and all the things that we dealt with, every time that thought would always come back to me, maybe one day you will make a difference. Okay, thank you. And there were some people that we had the leg irons and the chains on, and you knew that they did not do it. You knew that they didn't commit the crime that they was accused and convicted of. But you was a part of that system. You were a part of it. And so like Paul one day, I had to realize I was on the road to Damascus. And I had to make a decision. And all of a sudden, it was like when this thing came about in my life and people was trying to tell me, no, don't do it, man, don't do it, stop, don't do it. Suddenly, one day I realized I too had to turn on those who commissioned me the same way Paul did for truth and justice. And so I say to people here today, and I talk to all of us, I say, and my friends and co-workers and those around me, you have to take a stand for something. If you let fear, when we started our No Fear Coalition and the stuff that, when you heard Tom Devine talking about federal employees and whistleblowers, all of us, Tom knows, all of us, we stood up when people said, don't do this because your career is going to be marred. They're going to destroy your career. And we got together as a small group of people, and we were determined to get a law through Congress, through the powerful United States Congress, the most powerful, as they say, country on earth. And we got this no fear law, and we pushed this thing, and we went all the way to Capitol Hill, never stopping. And people saying there's no way in the world Congress gonna pass that law. And one day, we were sitting right in President Bush's office, and he's signing the law. Signing into law, President Bush. So it can be done. You can make a difference, and that word, that expression my mother said will be in my book. It will always ring in my ear. One day, maybe you will make a difference. So I say to everybody in this place standing here listening to me, you can make a difference. You are here making a difference. And I would say to you, continue to make a difference until your last day on this earth. God bless you, and thank you for allowing me to speak.